Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Whoa! Whoa! Good morning, good morning, good morning. Salute to all y'all out there. It's bad out here in the streets. Bad. What's up, bro? Rest in peace to your pops, man. Blessings to you and your family. So now, let's get into this, man. I want to take the time out to put this into consideration. Everybody was asking me about this. Yes. 29 years, man, that's a long time. It's been 25 years since my best friend was murdered. So it's crazy how time flies. It seems like yesterday. Now, appreciate you, bro. Now, let's get to this ridiculousness that happened between Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock. Whitlock, to me, is the one that really pulled this off. Now, I'm going to tell you how he pulled it off. He's the only one that can get under Stephen A. Smith's skin. Has anyone ever noticed that? The only person that can get under the skin of Stephen A. Smith is Jason Whitlock. And the rest of the people is like, how? Why? How is it this guy, out of everybody that dumps on him, if Whitlock says something, this guy got to react? There's a lot of stuff that's telling there. And since you're in media and you're in sports media, Stephen A., you should understand the signs of what we're talking about. This is a tale that there's more to the story here that we all recognize, but you don't seem to recognize it. But you do. You do, Stephen A. And we're going to get to that right now. Yes, sir. Now, Jason Whitlock went on Cam Newton's show. Him and Cam, he's been having all these critical things to say about Cam. Cam is on First Take with who? Stephen A. Smith. So now, of course, towards the end of this whole thing, he doesn't bring up Stephen A. Smith. He let them bring up Stephen.
Quick response, 1 sentence answer.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. You ready?
You take one, I take none.
Yeah. Yes, sir. The best quarterback in the NFL right now, who you got?
It's still Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, it's still Patrick Mahomes with, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson fighting for number 2.
All right. Most overrated sports personality right now.
I've already answered that question. No reason to reiterate. Stephen A.
I'll be remiss if I didn't ask this question straight up. And and you can do with it how you deem. What is it between you and Stephen A. Smith?
Look, and I got to be respectful. You work with Stephen A. And so
This has
I
nothing.
don't want to go.
Listen. Look, you said you go keep it in a buck. Mr. Whitlock.
1,000.
Keep it 1,000 now. At the end of the day, I'm cordial with Stephen A. Smith, just like I'm cordial with anybody else. It shouldn't come with a filter preface with it, and it's not to say that I'm about to sit there, hey, I got you. No, it's just a simple question.
Your words, your statement.
What is it up
Look,
with
man,
you and Stephen A.
I've done the homework on Stephen A. He's fraudulent. He's lying about his college basketball career. He's admitted he's lying about his college basketball career. If I sat in the media space for 20 years telling everybody I played for Big House Games and I got a full ride scholarship after knocking down 17 straight three-pointers in a scrimmage on a Sunday when they played a game on Saturday and they hosted a scrimmage on Sunday and I knocked down 17 straight three-pointers and they gave me a scholarship on the spot. Anybody familiar with HBCUs? Anybody familiar with Winston-Salem State and how little money Winston-Salem State has and had back then? They're not giving out scholarships on the spot to anybody. It's all a lie. And I've done the homework. And he runs around with these former teammates. There's some dude named Gary Stevens that, if you go back and look at the newspaper articles like I did, Gary Stevens was some 6'3" guard. The Gary Stevens that Stephen A. runs around with is some 5'9" midget who played basketball up in New York for some school called Old Westbury. They're running around taking flights and posting Instagram photos. Yeah, we're Winston-Salem State teammates. It's all a lie. It's fraudulent. Everybody has seen someone like Stephen A. Smith, who in fourth grade, by his own admission, got held back because they thought he was retarded. When he was in 11th grade, his counselor laughed at the thought of him going to college. And again, someone like me that's a journalist that we're the same age. We came up together. I know how fraudulent he was as a sports writer and how they had to rewrite everything that he did. And to see him passed off as the face of sports journalism and the top of the profession. Cat Williams already done told you what that was about. They all get installed. Bob Iger and the $20 million a year that they give this guy to be a puppet and the standard for sports journalism. It's a joke.
And that's why he's upset. He's a joke. Nothing Whitlock said there was a lie. Everything he stated was absolutely true about Stephen A. Smith. Now, we've all known that. I've been going at Stephen A. Smith, breaking down the same things Jason Whitlock have. I sent Jason Whitlock the information on Stephen A. Smith, and I don't like Whitlock. But we had a common foe that's sitting here lying. And they're deceiving the general public who don't know. My thing is, Stephen A. has no evidence to prove or back up anything that he has said. Not one thing. Stephen A. has not spent any time reviewing anything or going over the process of anything that was stated by us ever. So Stephen A. Smith loses his mind. Because, of course, who could take that, right? So when you lose your mind, you start doing things out of school. You start doing things out of your character. Because Stephen A. knows he's lying and he's being called out for it. So now he's going to use Whitlock to get him some steam because his channel is dying. He's gone all political. Now he's this fake politician.
I've done the homework on Stephen A. He's fraudulent. He's lying about his college basketball career. He's admitted he's lying about his college basketball career. If I sat in the media space for 20 years telling everybody, I played for Big House Games, and
was going to clap back. You wasn't going to say anything. You said when you went off on Jason Whitlock, over a year ago that you wasn't going to say much about it. But here you are, Stephen A. Again, I will remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that I have been being attacked by this man for over a decade. And the 2 times that I have spoken about him are the only 2 times that anybody has ever heard me say anything about him. But it does get to a point where you feel compelled to speak up, because as I watched his interview with Cam Newton on Cam Newton's show, 4th and 1, what y'all are missing, whether it's Emmanuel Acho or it's Marcellus Wiley or others who I will get to in just a second, certainly Cam Newton, what you're missing is that a lot of people are looking at it and acting like this is about the business. Now, this is personal. This is personal. Now, I'm not as personal as other people would be, because let me assure you, and if you know anything about Jason Whitlock's background, you would understand there's a reason you see his fat ass sitting in some cubicle somewhere.
Now, I understand Stephen A.'s anger and how he's saying, how dare Whitlock do this? Yeah. Everybody's saying, how dare Whitlock? Right? Who is he? What is he doing? This is crazy. But no. Everyone knows the problems. Everyone knows the situations. Everyone knows that Stephen A. Smith has been lying. They knew all about it. We've done this for years. Now, this is where things get off the hinges a little bit. When people decided they wanted to go to certain extremes, and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm choosing to attack. Stephen A. Smith chose to go after his weight, but never attack what was said. He never decided, I'm going to go ahead and attack what was actually said. He never addressed the actual statements. Never has he done it. In neither video, he never addresses the fact of his fake career. We've done all the research. We've had people volunteer the research. People don't like you, bruh. They know you a phony. And once they find out you're a phony, that's how this thing starts to keep developing and moving forward. But I digress. Let Stephen A. Smith cook.
Scared to come out in public because
That's
he
true.
knows cats waiting for him.
That's true.
But he ain't worth it to me. He ain't worth it. Now you would say, well, then why are you addressing him? Here's why.
Why?
Because of what he has systematically tried to do to Black people in this industry. It's personal.
That's not why you're doing it. Now you're lying. Now you're lying, Stephen A. Because Whitlock been doing this for years, doing the same thing. Why today? Why today? Them creatine sandwiches you've been eating, I'm going to tell you why. You're hurt because you know it's true. And you hate the fact that you being exposed. And you hated the fact that Cam Newton, who's on First Take, sat there and says, hey, I'm cordial with Stephen A. Smith. Like I'm cordial with everybody else. Don't hide the smoke. They asked him about you. Not the other way around, brother. They asked him about you. He didn't volunteer any information. He stayed quiet. He said, I'm going to respect your platform. I don't want to go. He wasn't going to go in on you. Cam said, no. No, we ain't ducking no smoke here. You can go ahead and do what you want to do. And after that, he was put in a box.
On a whole multitude of levels. And I'll get to all of that in a second. I want to address first and foremost how pathetic and sick he looks. I mean, it's a real big time problem when it comes to him. It's hard to even put into words. Do you see his face when he's talking about me? You see his eyebrows looking like horns? You see how demonic he looks? I bring that up because he always claims to be doing God's work. Does that look like somebody doing God's work? I haven't even gotten into the details of what he's doing to show you that it's antithetical to anything that he swears he is doing. Because when it comes to being a pathological liar, no one is worse than him to himself, more so than the other people and the rest of us. It's to himself. But just for entertainment purposes, let me go back to what he was saying about my basketball career. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have I said I tried? Somebody stood up there and said, he played in Winston-Salem. I said, I tried to. I tried to. I grew up poor. I can assure you, my parents couldn't afford to pay for my college education. How did I graduate from Winston-Salem State? How did I go there without having to pay a dime? How'd that happen? It happened because I had a basketball scholarship. How did I get the basketball scholarship? Oh, I showed up for a workout. Well, you ever heard of the name Harold Funny Kit? Harold Funny Kit is a person that played at Winston-Salem State in the 70s, who remained close to the program, who drove me down from Queens, New York to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for a workout in the middle of the season because Clarence Big House Gaines, he called Clarence Big House Gaines and say, I got some talent for you. I want you to see this guy. Clarence Big House Gaines saw me, sat up there, put me out on the court with cats like Charlie Spell and others and said, get on the court and show me what you got. And I kept passing the ball. He called the timeout. He said, wait a minute. Ain't you supposed to know how to shoot the ball? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, then God damn it, shoot the ball. And I went out there and I hit 17 straight 3-pointers.
And the man will say this with a straight face. He counted 17 straight threes. He hit in a scrimmage game. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen A. Smith, I'm calling you a liar now, Senor Bob. Now this is where the lies kick in. Oh, man. Do I need to pull up receipts, ladies and gentlemen? Do I need to pull up receipts? Oh, my gosh. Stephen A. Why do you do this, man? Why do you make me do this to you? Why do you make me do this to you? This is a constant reminder, folks. If you're doing drugs, stop. Just stop. Because it's never going to go well for you. You see, Stephen A. Smith continues to lie. I don't know why he does it. I don't know his motivation. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, remember, he was talking about Big House Gaines. That's what he was speaking on. Big House. And Big House Gaines was the reason he was on there. And he brought up Harold Kidd as if no one else have ever. Look, here it is. As we told you right here. There it is. Harold Kidd, 1974 Winston State. Harold Kidd. Now, y'all can see Harold, right? Now, y'all see Harold Kidd. Y'all see the storyline right there, right? Now, what I'm going to do is blow all this up so that you guys can see it a little bit clearer so you can know that we got the same story. Now, here's the part you don't know. See, here's the story they're telling. Stephen A's close connection to Harold Kidd is an impressive background of a superstar player under Coach Clarence Gaines at Winston-Salem State. Despite the age gap of 16 years between them, Stephen A. being 20 and Harold being 36 at the time. That's right. Harold played in 1970s. He was 36 years old, decided to call up Stephen A. But here's what happened. Harold is the boyfriend of Stephen A.'s best friend's sister. Kid played for Coach Gaines. And Stephen A. was at a local park in Queens playing one-on-one basketball games. Stephen A., who was at 5'9", 130 pounds, displayed remarkable skills. And Kit was thoroughly impressed by this kid's skills that Stephen A.'s potential was so outstanding. He proposed, I'm going to take you to Winston-Salem State for a trial. Open the door to a new promising opportunity. Stephen A. said this changed his life forever. They drove from Queens to North Carolina to meet Coach Gaines. Gaines had a busy February as his team played 6 games in 12 days as the season wrapped up. Of course, he made time for Stephen A. though. Stephen A. had recently left the team of the Fashion Institute of Technology, JUNCO, right? Where he rode the bench. Said the coach didn't like him there. Said the coach didn't like him in high school, and we saw what he played with in high school. He couldn't make that team. A team full of bunch of white boys. He went to a technical high school, and he couldn't beat a bunch of white boys. You couldn't beat a bunch of white boys, Stephen A., to get on your high school team. And then in your last year, you got on the team, and then you got off. You're not in any of the team photos, Stephen A. Where's your high school team photos? Stephen A. went to a school where there were 5 black kids. 5. And he couldn't beat them out. This is the technical school in high school. He couldn't make that team. But you gonna hit 17 threes and make it on to the team. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you why Stephen A. was selected. During that season, Coach Gaines explained it. See, Coach Gaines wrote a book too called Big House. In Coach Gaines' book, which doesn't mention you at all, even though you're supposed to be this star player, the one player that became a really big superstar and really famous, Stephen A. Smith, he never writes about you in his book. Why? His son don't even talk about you, who was his assistant. They never mention you. Why is that? Not even in a good way or a passing way. They act like you don't exist. Why do they act like you don't exist? Because, hell, they have no memory of you. You didn't do anything for them. What did you do for them? But we'll get there, Stephen A. We'll address your lies. Now, here's the thing. During that time, the budget was cut almost 40%. They couldn't even travel to go interview new kids. Coach Gaines had to cancel all of his trips that he planned to go out and recruit. At the end of the season, even when it's tournament time, they were setting up to go out and interview other kids to try to recruit and get them to come to the play for Winston-Salem State. but they had cut the budget by like 40%. They had no money to go out and recruit other kids. So they were just looking for anybody that wanted an education. Like, look, just get anybody who could dribble a ball a little bit, play some high school ball. And Harold Kent said, oh, I got this kid. He can play, he can dribble a little bit. You know, hey, bring him down. You were going to get on the team anyway. So all the 17 threes, they needed to fill the roster. That's why you were selected, to fill a roster spot. Because they couldn't go and recruit because the budget was low. This is why they seasoned and the talent level was down. This is the truth, Stephen A. See, you are a liar and a pathological liar. And because I'm in sports journalism, you're in sports journalism, you know when someone is lying because they're so annoyed by what the other person is telling them. It sticks at you what Whitlock is saying because you know it's true. Yes, Whitlock is fat. Yes, Whitlock is a Uncle Tom. Yes, he's all of those things. But when he's talking about you, he's 100% correct. You are lying. And you know you're lying. Back it up. Prove it. Your basketball career, I got a 6-inch screw in my knee. A 6-inch screw is bigger than your damn knee, boy. What happened? I got a 4-year scholarship. How do you think I graduated? I was too poor to go to the school. How did I get there? Oh, you was kicked off your basketball scholarship because you couldn't play. All you supposed to do was ride the bench, right? Tell them the truth. You keep trying to elude. You got this basketball scholarship and you graduated because of basketball scholarship. You was at home recuperating from your knee and they just wanted you to sit on the bench. You act like you couldn't even do that. Talking about your knee hurt, and they felt the whole team looked at you as a quitter. No, my knee, man, my knee. Oh, my knee. They was like, dog, you not even going to try to play next year? You wasn't even trying to play no more. And you basically crippling the program, holding them up. Coach Gaines couldn't stand you because you were just being a soft coward to him, but you were removed from your basketball scholarship. And you were about to get kicked out of school and you went crying. And the lady was like, well, let me go over there and talk to the school about this kid. This kid's a good kid. We can't lose him. You know, he's a guy that's into the books. He wants to be a journalist. He wants to write one day. And we can't lose kids like this. And you were crying to her. And she took you into that office and they gave you a job as a secretary. You was in there stacking books. And you got a partial scholarship there for working there, working your little job at the school. And she gave you another scholarship. You had a different scholarship. You didn't have a basketball scholarship no more. You never played a game. You tore your knee up in a practice game, and that was it. You never played, not one game. So you couldn't average 1.5 points because you never played 1.5 minutes on the court. You lied. You were stacking books and papers in Winston-Salem State, and they gave you a scholarship for that. You didn't graduate on a basketball 4-year scholarship. No, your scholarship was removed. Why would they pay you and you're not playing? You didn't have a 4-year ride. It was a partial that would have continued had you stayed playing. That's why your scholarship was gone after you got hurt. If you had a full ride, even if you got hurt, you're not kicked out of school. So everything you said has been a lie so far, Stephen A. I told you, I'm the wrong one you want to play this game with. The wrong one to play this game with, Stephen A. So now this is what he's talking about. People are selected. They selected you for this position because you a bootlicker. They know what you are. The whole world knows what Stephen A is. Bob Iger, Jimmy Pitaro got you on the plantation, and you want to be there. Nobody loves the plantation more than Stephen A. He don't want to go anywhere. He's already home. See? Does that man look happy? Oh, I'm sorry. They got it mirrored. I don't want any mirror. Turn that around. There it is. He's already home. He's home on the plantation. He loves it. He lives to please Master. He don't want to go nowhere else. He is right at home. I'm home. I don't want to leave here. I got $20 million a year. I never get to enjoy it. I work 7 days a week. And I love it. No vacations. Yeah. And I'm going to keep bringing in more. Y'all wish y'all were me. Yeah. That's what I do. I sell out. Now, you're upset because Whitlock exposed you?
I repeatedly stated I never did it before, and I never pulled it off since. That one day God was watching. How can somebody who proclaims to be doing God's work have a problem with somebody highlighting how a moment in their life involved divine intervention because they were able to do something they never did and they lucked up? Jason Whitlock's that guy. Because you see, if you listen to him long enough, he's the only one that has this unfeathered connection with God. It's God that touched him. It's God that has disciplined him. It's God that has come down upon him and touched him on the shoulder and blessed him with the knowledge, the know-how, the conscience, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him, God, while he excoriates everybody that he can. And I've sat here on numerous occasions, totally disgusted with the vile, despicable, disgusting human being that he is, who has lied about me, who has denigrated me, who even went as far as to call my pastor to try to interview my pastor about me. A pastor is a spiritual individual with a connection to individuals from his congregation, similar to what a priest is in the Catholic community, which means that the communication that happens with one another is between one another. Everybody knows that. That man says he's a man, he's doing God's work. But he don't know that? Of course he knows that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, ladies and gentlemen, because he never has. Have you seen the things religiously associated with Jason Whitlock? He's on Blaze Media. Maybe I should, because I do know a few people. Isn't Glenn Beck running Blaze Media? Maybe I should give him a call and remind him of the things that Jason Whitlock has done. Maybe I should point to some of the demonic, evil, vicious stuff that he has done to me, Chris Broussard, Scoop Jackson, Jamel Hill, Michael Smith. List goes on and on. Maybe I should tell the people that he works with how people at PTI, pardon the interruption, when he used to sub there, they looked at him and they said, "What's wrong with you? Why are you doing these kind of things to people all the time?" He said, "You don't know? The money." But he shows up on Cam Newton's podcast and says he don't care about the money. Really?
Now, he's pointing out Whitlock's BS. This is what I always say. You want the truth, put two liars in the room. I know Whitlock's full of shit. You're not telling us something that we don't know. We know what Whitlock is. Anybody who believes him or runs with Whitlock, it's like, really? Seriously? But the things he's speaking about you're not addressing. Stephen A., you're pivoting to talk about Whitlock. See, here's the thing. You stated one thing that was a true fact that you said. Like, I said I didn't do this. But no, you're lying about your career. You didn't have a basketball career. You had no real basketball background. There's no photographs of you playing basketball when you was at the Fashion Institute of Technology. Where's your photographs of you in uniform, dribbling a ball, taking a shot? Your mama didn't go to a game? Your brothers and sisters, they didn't go to the game? Nobody saw you playing at the Fashion Institute of Technology. This is why I say, what are we doing here? Listening to Stephen A. Smith. Why are we doing that? We know what this is, right? Or maybe we don't. Maybe you guys are new here and you don't understand Stephen A. Smith. Well, Stephen A., Carcino want to bring you to the light. Let me bring you to the light. Before he was this guy that do anything for massa, let's take you to Stephen A., the boy with daddy issues. That is Stephen A. Smith's high school basketball team, the senior team at Thomas Edison High School, a technical school. Basketball is nobody here goes to the pros. Ever. This is a tech school that teaches you a trade in tech. So you can go out and get a job. You could be an electrician. You could be anything. You go out there. They thought like this kid's going to be a waste of space. We got to get him and teach him a trade so he'll be valuable somewhere in the world. This is their basketball team. Stephen A. could not beat this team. He couldn't beat out anybody on this team to get a job. There's 5 black kids at this school. Here's the Farsoft team. Are we being serious here? You could not make it on this team. And even if you were you in the team photo, this the year you say you were on there. Look at, even if you weren't there, they would say not photographed as Stephen A. Smith. You're not even there. And once again, there's no photographs of you playing at this school. So again, why don't you explain that part, Stephen A. Smith? You're lying. And once again, we're calling you a liar. Senor Bob, this is the part where I call you a liar. Because, see, something has to be addressed. Now, the bigger part of this equation is that Stephen A. Smith continues to go down this road of trying to curtail himself for approval. Why? You're getting $20 million a year. What do you have to do? What more is that for you to do? Now let's get into his biggest thing about him. The name of his show is called Straight Shooter, named after his book. Big house games. That's the story he wants to run with you. That big house came and approved and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Kid, you told the truth about me. I can't be mad about that. You told me everything. You're a straight shooter, son." That's what you told the world. Now, here's the biggest lie Stephen A. has ever told. He said that's why he named his book Straight Shooter, because that's what Coach Gaines called him. He was a straight shooter. He didn't seem like a straight shooter. This article got Coach Gaines fired. Fired. Big House Gaines fired. Can you believe that? The most successful coach, like he was past his prime, everything. Fired because of article Stephen A. wrote saying he was past his prime. It got everybody up in an uproar, and they wanted him removed from the team, everything. He had to go, but the coach respected him. And he stepped down. Big house. Now, what year did Stephen A. Smith graduate from college? Wasn't that 1990 or something like that? Let me see. Let's type in Stephen A. Smith. Let's go to his wiki. Let's see what it says about his career, his education in life. He graduated in 1991. He went from 87 to 1991, as it says here. Okay. So we're going to bring all of this to the forefront for all y'all to see, because I want everybody in here to understand we're going to get clarity. We're going to get some clarity for the liar known as Stephen A. Smith. Okay, let's go here. Share this right here so that we will all see this together, people. This is all us together. We are all in it together on a four-leaf clover together. Stephen A. Smith, Stephen Anthony Smith, went to Thomas A. Edison, what I just showed you, in Queens, New York, the technical school. You can look that up. Winston-Salem from 1987 to 1991. So he graduated in 91, right? This man said he wrote the article that made them say, Coach Gaines, you got to step down. This kid's article is too powerful. Said he was over the hill and it got the coach fired. And Coach Gaines respected him and said, hey, you said what you had to say, and you was a straight shooter. And that was the start of his journalistic career, and was in the school paper, and it was massive. There is no record of this article anywhere. Stephen A. Smith can't print to you a Winston-Salem newspaper. You can go through their entire history. When you join their archives, it's not there. How is the biggest article in your life not there, Stephen A? Can you explain that to the rest of the world? Why you never address that? The biggest article in your life is not there. And we're going to go even further, Stephen A. Smith, the liar. Bam! We're going to go right here. Because I want the whole world to see it. This is Coach Gaines. The coach, he allegedly got fired. Well, let's go right here now. It says Coach Gaines coached Winston-Salem State into 1993. That was 2 years after you were already gone. He coached 2 more years and you ain't even at the school. So where was this uproar over your letter? Lies. Now let's see what happens here. Now, here we go. Let's see what they say about this. They talk about his career. Towards the end of his coaching career, Gaines struggled to recruit student players. The end of Jim Crow era laws led to college basketball becoming fully integrated at all levels. This made it difficult to lure star talents to Winston-Salem. Not really the reason why. The reason why is there was a rule with an age limit on coaching. I'll find it and pull it up for y'all. There was an age limit. They said you can't coach past a certain age in college basketball. And they forced Coach Gaines to retire. The law that they passed. Had nothing to do with Stephen A. Smith. He was not even a fraction of a memory then. The kid was a nobody then. Just an afterthought. And he's been telling this lie about this article for years. Stephen A., address what we have said. Whitlock has said it. I have said it. This article that you supposedly have written, you have never displayed anywhere. You've never framed it and put it on a wall. If this is what you named your book after. You named your book after this. Please show this to the world. Prove us wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. Because the facts say different. Here we go. Like I told you, it's very easy to find. So this way, none of y'all will be confused and say Carcino is trying to run a hate agenda against Stephen A. Smith. This is the Baltimore Sun. Tuesday, March 24th of 2026. This was published in February 28th of 1993. So you can see they didn't know Stephen A. Smith from a hole in the wall. Oh, no. They want me to buy it? No, I don't need to buy this. But anyway, they back it up. And it says the North Carolina rule that you cannot coach past the age of 70 years of age. Damn, they did it again. I tried to sneak it in there. But, yep. Cannot coach past the age of 70. Let me see if I can pull it up here. There it is. So, in 1993, you can see it right here. Tell him to explain this. Gaines, who turned 70 on May 21st, right, requested an exemption to the rule. He was a teacher there as well as a coach. And North Carolina state law requires all professors to retire at the age of 70. That means coaches and professors. He wanted an exemption to the rule. So he had to step down and retire. Stephen A. was long gone, but yet he's the straight shooter. So your straight shooter claim, straight bullshit. You have been lying, sir. On all fronts. So now that we know that this dude has been lying the entire time, lying about this article that he's never presented anywhere, it's not in the archives of Winston-Salem State. Y'all gonna learn why he became famous. Oh yeah. Y'all gonna learn today. Because we're going to go through the liar that is Stephen A. Smith. Because you know it's true. See, the truth burns the liar because it hurts him so bad that he knows and he keeps twisting the screw. And the fact that he used somebody that's on your show to do it, even though he said, I didn't even want to do it. The person that was on your show wanted him to go there because it's good for his show. Now, you are upset that Cam Newton had him on the show. But you know you can't tell him not to, and you can't show him how pissed off you really are that you brought him on the show. See, I'm a journalist too. I read people. I read behavior. Stephen A., you were hurt. You were pissed. Cam had him up there. Had he been saying this on the Jason Whitlock show, which he said before, you wouldn't have cared. He didn't say nothing brand new about you. He said the same thing he has said on his platform, the same things I'm saying right now. The only reason that this is bothering you so much because he got you exposed for being what you are, a liar. And it burns you up because this lie you created to your whole life story around trying to alter your whole existence coming up. It's falling apart in front of you. Everybody's like, dude, you could go ahead and have your career, whatever, just ignore it. Live in your lie. But we all know you're lying. We have the evidence to prove you're lying. We got receipts to prove you are lying. Until you dispute those, you are still the liar, no matter what you're saying. Now, of course, Whitlock's doing it for the money. What are you doing it for, Stephen A? The money. Whoa. Hold on. They're doing a sabotage Sally. Okay, they did a sabotage Sally on us. They trying to sabotage the video. Because we're exposing Stephen A. and we're dropping too many receipts. You know what they come with? I didn't go silent. The video was playing and they went silent. They did that. They decided they wanted to do this to you. So Stephen A. Smith got real cocky. Y'all can hear me now, right? Oh, it was them. Y'all can hear it, right? Okay, now y'all can hear me. So now that we can confer that everybody can hear again, we can get back to it. See, whenever you start speaking the truth, that's when they get scared. Now let's listen.
No wonder you keep going back to shit from 40 years ago when I was playing basketball in high school and I tried to play in college. I've been the first to tell anybody, please, I couldn't shine these players' shoes. How does it feel to know, Jason, that you're still not better than me? You have never heard me say what I'm about to say about anybody in this business, because I don't talk about my colleagues and my contemporaries that way. I want everybody to get this, but I have whipped your ass. You're a columnist, I'm a columnist. You a New York Times bestseller? No, you're not, but I am. Television ratings on ESPN, we're approaching 14 consecutive years of being number one in the mornings.
Oh my God. This guy's a clown. Now, first of all, he's a columnist and he was a better columnist than you. He was a better writer than you. Whitlock was a better writer than you, Stephen A. Smith. Your articles were like grammar school. Okay? Barely any substance whatsoever. But we'll get to you. We'll let you finish this diatribe and then we'll address you in a minute. But now he's on his braggadocious, trying to use his accomplishments as if he earned it. But let's go.
You don't have a job. Fox don't want you. ESPN don't want you. None of that networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, they don't want you. And what nobody has echoed or has come close to echoing other than Emmanuel Acho, who deserves all the credit in the world for bringing this up, is how you lean on Christianity. Why is that relevant? Because that's what the Blaze Network does, or the Blaze Media. It's conservative, leaning, religion and stuff like that. That's what they do. You're doing it because you're doing what's politically expedient so you can keep a job. How do we know this? Because how else would you watch me so much? Why do you know every little thing I do? Do you understand, Jason Whitlock, that you have done the equivalent of literally getting on your knees right in front of me? That's how desperate you sound, talking about me all the time. In this profession, I have whipped your ass. You can't touch me, bro. There's levels to this, and you ain't on it. I got up and walked around studio, not just to show off my suit and the relatively decent shape that I'm in, but because you never move from your seat, you don't want people to see you with your walrus looking ass self. All you do is pop shit and talk about people. You stopped covering sports a long time ago. You just talk about people who cover it. Because it ensures that you don't have to go to games, you don't have to communicate with people, and you don't have to be confronted by the people that you mess with outside of this business. You tell them how you slide a tape recorder under Allen Iverson's hotel door when you try to listen to those conversations. You tell them that? You tell them how many of us in the industry that you went to bosses and tried to undermine us to prevent us from getting paid? You talk about how many careers you've tried to squash? No, you don't talk about that. You say, I'm doing God's work. I don't care what people think. It's about me and him. You must have been really messed up to be so fixated on God at this point in time in your life because you know the damage you tried to do to other people. Let me go through some of the headlines just for our edification. Is this God's work? How Jason...
Yeah, Deadspin. That's what he's talking about. See, this is what Whitlock was saying. They did hit pieces on him and Deadspin. But Whitlock, he didn't do great things. He is just as bad. But not as bad as you, Stephen A. You take the cake because you sit up here and defend yourself as a liar. You knowing you're a liar and you sitting here propping yourself up like you this big shot, like you've earned it. You are a plant. They planted you there. But this is a funny photo here. Deadspin used to take all these shots at Jason Whitlock.
Whitlock is poisoning ESPN's Black Grantland. That's from an article in 2015. Officers were supervised by single Black women. That's what you said. That's what he said. That God's work? Is this God's work? No, Michelle Obama isn't trans, but here's why her critics repeat the false claim. That's God's work, huh? Oh, I got more. Show some more. The Blaze's Jason Whitlock rages against women's suffrage. Not everybody has to have a vote. So women shouldn't be voting. That's God's work. That's God's work, according to Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock compares Black Lives Matter and Antifa to the KKK. That's God's work. So you went on your knees and prayed for those headlines. That's what you did. You are pathetic. Attacking Ryan Clark, a brilliant freaking NFL analyst, one of the best in the business, bar none, unquestionable. You attack him. What has he done to you? That's godly? That's acting on behalf of the good Lord? No. That's acting on behalf of somebody evil and disgusting and jealous who systematically goes about the business of trying to diminish and lower Black people in our business because they're better than you. And you don't want anybody to see it that way. And if you're not broke, you will be soon. Because chances are you're not hireable. You have no ethics, you have no morals. But most importantly, for the purposes of this conversation, Jason Whitlock, you don't have a career that compares to mine. I have never talked about that in any way, shape, form, or fashion about any of my colleagues. I reserve it especially for your evil, despicable, trifling ass. But I'm not mad because I realize why. It's the jealousy. You can't take the fact that I'm better than you.
Now, Stephen A. Smith is becoming undone. Listen to this, people, so that you would understand what's happening here. Stephen A. Smith is becoming undone right before your eyes. He's becoming undone. He's lost himself completely, and this is all emotions. This is emotions. This is somebody spiraling. Stephen A. Smith, he got you on what we would call tilt. If you were a poker player, this is somebody you got on a string. Whitlock got you on a string. You on tilt. You become so far out of the character that you portray all the time, fake as it is. Now he got you exposing yourself. You are so on tilt.
You can't take the fact that I'm more successful than you. You can't take the fact that John Skipper handed you the reins to a website supposedly positioning you to be the black Bill Simmons, and you couldn't hold your own weight. You couldn't even get black people to work for you. Look at this right here. Allow me to read this to y'all. Keep that up on the full screen. Deadspin, Greg Howard, the author, article from 2015. This staff, the one Whitlock was praised by way of warnings that if the writers and editors wouldn't align with his vision, he would get rid of them, wasn't the one he wanted. The Undefeated was originally meant to attract the best and brightest young black talent in the country, with Whitlock's aim set so high that he at one point seriously tried to recruit the Athletics' Ta-Nehisi Coates, the sharpest cultural commentator in the business today. As things worked out, though, these young writers comprehensively refused to work with him. So did big-name ESPNers like Howard Bryant, Jamel Hill, and Stephen A. Smith, whom he tried to bring in as contributors, end quote. Stop right there. I'm a fraud. I didn't do X, Y, and Z. Ladies and gentlemen, he's saying that my education wasn't paid for. He's saying I didn't write my own book. When Amy Bell, the editor at Simon Schuster, you can ask her yourself, Charles Suit, who runs 13A imprint at Simon & Schuster, would tell you, I wrote my own book, no ghostwriter. Everywhere.
Oh, I believe you wrote your own book. Nobody could have came up with those damn lies. What he said was fact checked. Let's get that woman up here who did the fact checking on the book, because the whole book is a book of lies. So how are we gonna fact check all this stuff in this book when it starts off with lies?
He tries to lie, denigrate, and diminish because he's trying to get somebody to be smaller than him, not recognizing that physically most people are smaller than his fat ass. But it's okay. Because again, I understand where it comes from. It's jealousy. And it's the specter of a future where you're completely rendered irrelevant. You're not owning up to the fact that you had your chance in 2015 and you blew it. A year and a half you had to take the website off the ground to get black people to work for you, to build an organization, and you blew it. And it was completely financed by ESPN, and you didn't get it done. John Skipper gave you an opportunity. Mr. Ensign Fox gave you an opportunity. Countless people looked out for you, and you blew it. Yeah, you were a columnist, highly respected because of your writing ability, and your perspectives, because you do make people think once they're able to get past how evil and vile you are. But in the end, what it comes down to is you're not cutting it. You started a podcast 2 years before me. The day that I started a podcast, you had 322,000 subscribers. You were at 322,000, I was at 0. You haven't even hit 600,000 yet. I'm at 1.35 million. See, Jason, you keep losing to me. You're not telling people what really hurts you. You keep getting your ass kicked by me. You do a television show, I outrate you. You do a radio show, I outrate you. You go to podcast route, I outrate you. I look better, I feel better. Nothing works for you against me, except me shutting up while you run your mouth to create clicks so you can get a check, because it's all you have. You don't have it because you don't have talent. You don't have it because some people don't want to listen to you. You have it because everybody knows that you're evil and you're despicable and you've napalmed the bridges. That's why you can't get a job. Talking about your colleagues and contemporaries, stabbing them in the back at every turn. This is why I told you Emmanuel Acho. This is why I'm telling you Marcellus Wiley and others. This is why I'm talking to the people that are on Jason Whitlock show. Fearless. He's scared of nothing. Evidently, y'all in contact Patrick Bet-David and talk about how he ran out of the studio the minute he was in this vicinity of Roland Martin, to the point where he almost got hit by a damn car because he was so damn scared of going up against Roland Martin. He chirped and talked shit. And then when Roland Martin showed up, he ran like a coward.
Now, that did happen, and that was funny. But again, you're not addressing any of the statements that he made about you. Your journalistic career, your basketball career, all of these things that you stated in your book. This has nothing to do. You're just throwing mud at Jason Whitlock. And yeah, it's funny to listen to, but you are becoming undone. If you this guy that's dominating, you're just proving his point of you being a plant. You, who's a limited writer, a very limited writer, at best, to be put in this position that you're in right now, you're a plant. You're playing solitary at basketball games in the NBA Finals. You're a plant. You're proving his point. All of these things you're saying, I'm better, I'm more successful. You had 300,000, I came in and got 1 million, just like that. Ha ha. Not because you're popular, you're a plant. Someone paid for that.
That's Jason Whitlock. But it's nothing compared to who he is with his supposed friends and people who are close to him. I don't know your names, I don't care to. Anybody that's on this show, I wish you nothing but the best. I need you to go to church and I need you to pray. I need you to figuratively or literally have security. And I need you to make sure they're watching your back, because he will stab you in it. There isn't a black person in our business that would disagree with what I said. You don't believe me? Ask them. He is a lowlife, the worst kind. It's who he is. And I'm not going to go off and engage in profanity-laced tirades and all that stuff. I said enough. But do you know the reason I came up here with y'all today? He lied about him, a professor of mine. said she wasn't really a professor. Woman at home minding her business, retired, and he's trying to denigrate her career to get at me. He brought up my boy Spank, Gary Stevens. He was a teammate and a friend, one of my best friends in the world, never bothered anybody. But because Jason Whitlock is so addicted and fixated on me, he's gonna go after my boys. It's who he is. And then he's trying to hide behind my quote unquote bump my basketball career. I didn't have one. Cracked my kneecap in half. A couple of months after I got there, it was over before it began, damn it. Who cares? I'm 58 years old in the business that you're in, and it's at the same time that you're in, smoking your ass. Smoking you. Excuse my language. You can't fuck with me, Jay. Not even a little bit.
See? Now here come that's that brick talk. Now he turning into brick. Now he turning into brick, the mobster he played on the soap opera. Look at him. You can't F with me. Now you see, this is where the ego takes place. Again, he's trying to say, forget about the past. I'm 58. I'm right here, right now. This is what I'm doing now.
There's levels to this. And your ass is smaller than a cockroach compared to me. You're nothing. You are an expert troller. I'll give you that. And you can evoke emotional responses and conversations because you're willing to stoop to the lowest of the low by attacking people's loved ones in order to get them. But know this, all you're doing is getting a reaction out of me to address how despicable you truly are. But in the end, understand that when your fat ass is sitting behind your desk and you don't want to roll around it because you don't want everybody to see how rotund you are, no, everything about my life is better than yours. I've never said this about anybody else, and I never will. This is specifically for you. You've lost. I'm better than you. The public says it. Everybody knows it. And you looked so pathetic, it had me wondering, really, he must be in really, really dire straits. So I decided to do something about that. Nice studio. Something you can't afford. Somewhere along the way, you know what I'm contemplating doing, Jason? I haven't made a decision yet. But I'm thinking about starting a GoFundMe account for you. Because clearly you're that desperate. That's why you talk about me so much. Look at your numbers when you're talking about me and look at your numbers when you don't. I keep you relevant. That's perhaps the worst insult of it all.
Oh, just wait. You see what they come with? Sabotage salad. They come with that sabotage salad every single time. They can't help it. Right when everything is cooking. They come with that sabotage salad. Mm. Yep, this is what they do. This is what becoming undone looks like. You see, what they want to do is portray people in a certain box, in a perspective, where the nature just doesn't fit. The code doesn't fit. So when you see Stephen A. acting as this and he's acting as such, then you understand that, okay, he's doing this for a reason. But what is the reason? Why is he becoming so undone? Why is all of these things that he's doing is against the character he portrays? Why is he being so arrogant? Or was he always this way? And everything you've seen has been a mask. He's always been this way. He's always been this smug, arrogant prick. And now you get to see it. And now, because you get to see it, you get to believe it. This is what I said. In journalism, people expose themselves. We look for things like this in sports journalism.
Nice studio.
Mm-hmm.
Something you can't afford. Somewhere along the way, you know what I'm contemplating doing, Jason? I haven't made a decision yet. But I'm thinking about starting a GoFundMe account for you. Because clearly you're that desperate. That's why you talk about me so much. Look at your numbers when you're talking about me and look at your numbers when you don't. I keep you relevant. That's perhaps the worst insult of it all. Fat Bastard Lock. That's the title of the GoFundMe account. Fat Bastard Lock. That's for you, my brother. Contrary to what you're willing to tell Blaze Media, you used to do that a lot, didn't you? After all, that's the only chance you had of getting some. Needless to say, probably didn't work for you either. Because if anybody needs something, it's you. Cam Newton, next time, my brother, because you know I love you, you gonna interview somebody and bring me up? Don't just sit there and let them talk shit. Ask questions.
Didn't I tell you? What's up? That's my man B with the super chat. That's what's up, man. Why B the only one be showing love like this? B come up here and show love every day. Y'all can super chat too. He fell for the bait again. Because he's hurt. You see, didn't I tell you when he went up there with Cam? You see how he went straight to Cam Newton? Because that's why. He did it with somebody that you gonna sit across from every day or every other day he's there on First Take. Yeah, he's clowning Whitlock, but he isn't addressing the facts.
Let him prove it. I'm a fraud? How? What facts do you have? I'm sitting there doing an interview with Glenn Bessinger the other day, and I talked about how growing up as a teenager, I saw a few people get murdered. Not like literally, oh, I mean, you hear gunshots, oh shit, you turn around and somebody's gone. I'm lying about that according to Jason Whitlock, like he was in Hollis, Queens, New York 40 plus years ago. How would he know? I'm a fraud, and do you believe this or that? I'm a fraud. How do you know? I didn't write my own book. How do you know? If you're gonna bring me up and you're somebody that's in my inner circle and you talk to me, grill them. Don't just let them talk smack. For those of you who haven't heard the interview, I encourage you to go listen to it because Cam otherwise did a fantastic job. And I love that brother. And I'm going to show up on this show as well. I bet you he'll have better questions for me than he did for Jason Whitlock, Emmanuel Acho, Marcellus Wiley. I have my disagreements with y'all from time to time, but I appreciate y'all comments about me. Play that, please. Both of them, back to back, so people could know how supportive they were of me.
It sounds like a hater. Because again, say what you will about Stephen A, and I've said a lot. Stephen A is the best in the business. And it is.
No, he isn't. That's cap.
Sometimes people just have a brand.
What's crazy is like he's such a good villain.
No, he's a great villain. Like I said, I give him credit for that. Like he gets a good villain.
He goes at like women.
It means, I don't know. Some guys have lied themselves into great positions. Remember in the game when they were giving out all the jobs to the best players? Remember there was a day with Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith, and they didn't do the best in media, but they gave them the job because they were the best at sports. Then we realized, we don't need to give it to the best. We need to give it to just who can entertain, who can inform, right? So if Stephen A. didn't have the best sports career, does that really negate the fact that he is the best in sports media, the biggest in sports media? That's my thought bubble. Tell me if y'all had the same one.
I want to say thank you for that. I really mean it. Not just to Emmanuel Acho, but even to the curly-haired, light-skinned cat, don't know his name right now. They tried to call me out over the Zion Williamson thing. All I would ask in the future, fellas, is that when y'all talking about me, particularly with the Zion situation, could you do your homework? Because it's one thing to watch the league, it's another thing to cover it. What I said about Zion, I wasn't insulting him. I was telling the truth. It was in his contract. There was a food clause. It's the truth. There are folks who watch the league, and there are folks who cover it. I cover the league. Remember that. Marcellus Wiley, appreciate you too. Although you could be a bit forceful, more forceful in addressing Jason, because you know a lot of brothers and sisters in the business, and you know what he's done. But I still appreciate y'all. Any kind of disagreement that we may have or whatever about a particular subject, ladies and gentlemen, please know I don't care. You have every right to disagree with me. I don't have any problem with anybody attacking my points and telling me why they disagree with me. I only got a problem when you attack me as a person. I don't think I deserve that because there's a lot of people that have been in precarious situations at FS1 and ESPN and beyond, and you don't hear me saying a word. Some level of decency has to take fold. Spurring conversations with one another. Y'all are all welcome on this show anytime you want. Happy to talk with y'all about differences and agreements.
Okay, well, invite me on the show. Invite me on the show. That's it. I'm coming, Stephen A. Let's invite me on the show. Oh, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to unpack. We can unpack right now. I bet you I'm not welcome. We can unpack it. I'll fly in on my dime. You ain't got to put me in a hotel. I'll fly in. We can chop it up. Book it. See, Stephen A. forgot something very critical. He's not as liked as he thought. And he's showing that he really does care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be doing this. You've exposed yourself. You've shown your belly. You have now ranked weakest. You're on the string. You've been exposed as a puppet. And you pretty much just reveled in it and just displayed your puppetness. You're number one in sports media based off of what? Off of what they have portrayed you as. Over the fact they put you in that position. No one selected Stephen A. to be there because he's great at what he does. They're on to you. You're not number one for 14 years. First Take was number one before you got there. Did you forget? You were getting smoked by Undisputed. Smoked. In actual viewership. You guys only had more views because the network was going to have more views. It wasn't because of you. The show First Take was always going to have more views because they have more outlets, Stephen A. You know that. I know that. But the general public doesn't. So they could put Gone Fishing on the show. They could take you off First Take for a whole month and they gonna be number one. I don't know anybody who watched First Take and go, where's Stephen A? The only time I see people look for you is the Cowboys game. When you are friends with Jerry Jones and he knows you're doing a phony act. I don't look for Stephen A for nothing because I know you're a fraud. Stuart's got to be turning over in his grave to see what you've become. And you're bragging about it. As if he's done something good. You've done nothing but pay your way. You pay your way in. You paid your way with all of the non-quality things that you have provided. HBCUs, you're an honorary member because you paid money. I'm a Q dog, honorary. Oh, you didn't pledge, you didn't do anything because you was too scared. So you paid your way in. As KB would say, you pay to play. And here you are going in your wallet, throwing money on the floor. Really? That's where you're at? You've lowered yourself to that standard? Or is that the standard you always were? Your ego just came out front, line, and center so that the whole world can see. Mr. Straight Shooter. Now it's time. Okay, Stephen A. You want to get to it? Let's get to it. Now, Cookie. This big old cookie head. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. This cookie head, Stephen A. Smith, has the audacity to decide to So basically open his mouth. Right? But if we looked at his career, we looked at the things that has become of him. Right? If you look at what he truly is in society and everything, we see a fraud. We see someone who isn't what they say they are. He's gotten away with everything, y'all. Every lie he told, every half truth. Now, Stephen A., do you realize that it doesn't take much to expose you? I'm sorry, whoever that person is. I expose the truth. I don't lie. I don't dox people, family. I don't groom 13-year-old girls. I don't do drugs. So I'm nothing like that junkie. I'm sorry. I don't steal from women. I don't live off men. I'm sorry. I don't live off just people. So we're entirely different. And if you think we are, then maybe you should go over there and listen to him. Now, Stephen A., let's get to the meat and potatoes when it comes to you. Now, you claimed your claim to fame as being a great journalist. It is not true. Your claim to fame is the fact that you, more than anybody, has portrayed this over and over again. Every time we turned around, you have done the same things countless times. Oh, yeah. This man pretended. Pretended. Oh, 100%. He pretended he was friends with Carlton Hines. Claimed that he was from the Bronx. He lied and manipulated to get himself close enough so that they can write an article for him. Stephen A. Smith has never done these things, ladies and gentlemen. Never. Mm-hmm. Oh, trust me, I know. I'm gonna pull it up for you now. Well, I love to tell the truth, so that's the thing. When you tell the truth, man, it's like a lightning rod. So let's go through the journalistic career of Stephen A. Smith. This guy says he's the best to do it. He's a columnist. Stephen A. has stated he's a journalist. While his began at college in Winston-Salem State, right? We already went over the Coach Gaines must retire article that doesn't exist. And I know it's easy for me to say these things, right? But when you actually have receipts, Stephen A., it works a lot better. Boom. Now, you guys can see what I see, but I want y'all to see it a little bit better. So I'm going to take myself down to here and remove these comments. See, Stephen A., because you're a straight shooter, you should respect all this. Towards the end of 1991, Stephen A. was recruited by a sports editor, the esteemed Winston-Salem Journal. He was hired 5 minutes into his meeting with a sports editor. He was told that a natural sports writer that liked his article, he called for Coach Gaines to retire. In another chapter that we've already debunked, that Stephen A. made this up. His title was Sports Department Clerk. Let me tell you that again. He was not a writer. He was a sports department clerk. He was a goddamn secretary. Straight liar. You were a sports department clerk. Then maybe I should start lying. No, thank you. I like being right. No. Oh, if he want to hit the link and tell the sports department clerk to show up and we can have that discussion. As you can see, I got your receipts, Stephen A. See, you lied about your interviews. You lied about your purpose. You lied about everything that you talked about. It didn't surface. You lied. The first thing you ever covered, right? Within a week of your starting job, you found yourself promoted to a new assignment covering the Wake Forest men's soccer team, right? Despite having no prior experience with the sport of soccer. You approached the team's coach with an open mind, forging this instant connection reminiscent of your relationship with Coach Gaines. However, the coach took him aside and delivered a stern rebuke for you being too soft on his boys and emphasized the honesty he needed. The coach urged him to be fearless in his assessments. Stephen A. said, okay, call it like you see it. And he said, do your damn job. There's not one article from Stephen A. Smith ever discussing soccer. Someone else wrote the story at that time. Furthermore, there's not one single article from Stephen A. despite his claims that there is no evidence he ever worked and wrote for the Winston-Salem Journal. Warren Buffett owns that newspaper. Keep that in mind as a note. There is no proof at all that you ever worked for the Winston-Salem Journal, Stephen A. Smith. None. Zero. Zilch. No evidence that you ever wrote there. You know how I know? Because they have things called archives. They archive their history. You're not in it. You're not in it. Let me be even more discreet. We're going to expose, and I would love for you to challenge this straight shooter. Call me out on it. There's no evidence to say he ever worked there. Unbelievable. And it even goes further than that, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said here, we like to go through all the receipts and bring it to you direct and live. Hit the like button up. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Super chat work. My Cash App is Carcino. But let's get even more into this, because you can see I got the receipts. I got the receipts, Stephen A. I got them. They all here. Your whole career. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution that you claimed you worked for, right? In your final semester at school, right? You interned at the Atlanta Journal-Constitutional. This is a 5-hour car drive from his college. We got the article right here, buddy. We got the article right here. Okay? We reviewed the entire archive for this newspaper. Stephen A. published 6 articles from February the 19th to March 23rd of 1992. They all covered college basketball. He's never credited or mentioned anywhere else. Now, this is important because here we go now. This is owned by Cox Communications, one of the richest families in America. Stephen A. said he worked in the newsroom. So I guess he did, in fact, make a 5-hour drive, right? Writing about the Atlanta Braves, college football, and college basketball as a staff writer. That's what he told everybody. He greatly enhanced his resume with numerous published articles, envisioning that he has an accumulation and would pave the way for more significant opportunities in the future. If we go through that archive, he has 6 articles published from February 19th to March 23rd, 1992. This is called receipts. This is called receipts. So you lied. You lied, Stephen. Why are you lying? There's your article. You lied. But we're not done with your lies just yet. We're not done with you. We're not done with you. We're just getting started. We're going to go through your lies because we want to know what you're talking about. Remember the movie Richard Jewell about the bombing in Atlanta? With the guy Richard Jewell, remember the Olympic City bombing? Right? That was July 27th of 1996 in Centennial Olympic Park. They got rocked by that bomb explosion. 2 people died and numerous people were injured. And then they assumed that the guy, Richard Jewell, was the guy who did it. He was a hero who had discovered the backpack, but then 3 days later, they tried to make him the guy who did it and declared the security guard, who they called a hero, was the focal point of the FBI's investigation. He was labeled a POI, the whole thing, right? So he filed a defamation lawsuit against the American, Journal and everything else after everybody wrote about him. So the Atlanta Journal, the AJC, y'all know what that is. So he filed a lawsuit against them, and he formally announced that he was no longer a suspect in the bombing. All the mainstream media and people who ever harassed his family and everything else, they had to pay an undisclosed amount to him. So the AJC had to settle with Richard Jewell, right? They had to write an apology, mainstream media, and all the scrutiny of hell as part of the settlement deal that they unintentionally led to the inaccurate and unfair reporting about Jewell. Now, according to everything else, Stephen A. probably graduated in 92 or 91 or whatever, but he never got a degree in journalism. He got a degree in mass communications. Not journalism. Stephen A., you did not get a degree in journalism. Will you stop lying? You got a degree in mass communications. We have it right here in your history. See, I show the receipts. Stephen Anthony Smith, mass communications. These are all the degrees. So when you graduated, you never got you never have a degree in journalism at all. You were in mass communications. So all of this, I wrote for this paper, I got all these articles. You are a con man who plays on words. And because you've been playing on words, this is the narrative that you have been on constantly. And because of that, everyone can see now where you are. And y'all know I'm not capping because we bringing up the receipts. So they never took you seriously. So when you got your career moving in May of 92, you said you went to Greensboro News and Record, right? Now, make sure you understand that. That's 15 minutes away from where he went to college. And it offered him a chance to basically be more vibrant in the sports culture of the area. So did you move from Atlanta back to North Carolina? Because you never said that, but we'll assume that you did, okay? Now, when you were growing this portfolio or whatever you call yourself doing, breaking barriers and carving a position out for yourself, a lot of these people don't seem to understand that there is a major problem, right? Here's that major problem. Few African Americans reach the level of a columnist, and people were vying for that position. In his book, Straight Shooter, there is no record of his employment with Greensboro News and Record. You have no articles in your archive mention anything about Stephen A. Smith. There's no evidence of you publishing any pieces there. It's worth noting that the Greensboro News and Record share common ownership with the Winston-Salem Journal. They're all under the umbrella owned by Warren Buffett. And they have no records of you writing for either one. None. I'm like, show me the article. Now, in the New York Daily News in March 7th of 1993 was the first time you got something published. And you covered Tiny Archibald. Tiny's Touch in the Daily Sports News. There you go, Tiny's Touch. See, Stephen A. Smith. All right, you wrote about Tiny Archibald in the article and how he's teaching lessons to the youth. That was your first New York. This time. But it's going to get even more spooky. We're going to get all of this down, right? So now, he was in panic mode because he claimed all of these things that he was doing. He was this main guy. His whole book is full of lies, full of them. So after that Tiny Archibald thing, right? Under his name, it says Stephen A. Smith, special to the news. So he was not on a regular newspaper staff. He was a contributor, but he wasn't a staff member. He did not have a job there. He was a freelance writer. That's why it says special to the news. They normally have your title under your name to back up your credentials. Stephen A. Smith, right below it, special to the news. You were special to the news. So shortly after that article was released, he applied for a 3-year paid internship by the LA Times and New York Newsday, known as MetPro Internet Program. What they call internship program. And they want to find high potential, highly motivated, inspiring journalists, right? And this is what he wanted to do for his life. So they, out of 3,000 applicants, so they wanted people from prestigious colleges. Winston-Salem State is not considered a prestigious college. I'm sorry. It just isn't. So not by my standards, by their standards. Said, funny how I validate Stephen A. Smith when he talks down on the New York Knicks because he's telling the truth about the New York Knicks. See, we go off the information that's being said. That's what, if somebody says it's raining outside, and I go, yeah, it is. I look outside and I see that it's raining. It's raining. What does it care if it's Stephen A. Smith who says it or Jason Whitlock? They said it's raining outside and I see it's raining. I'm going to say, yeah, it's raining outside. What I'm going to say is not raining because Stephen A. Smith said it is raining. And I looked out there and I see it raining. I'm supposed to ignore the rain. See, I don't do that. I'm a truth teller, sir. Now, here's the thing. Stephen A.'s internship was chosen for an intern in 1993, which raised some confusion when he expressed his dream of covering sports for a New York newspaper, but shortly after publishing his first article, he was seeking opportunities elsewhere. Strange, but anyway, he met with the management team of the Daily News to tell him about his impending departure. So they were keen on retaining him, and they presented a plan. They offered him a full-time sports writer position that began that August. 4 months after that, right, there was a condition, though. During his period there, from April to August, he will be assigned to cover crime, where he's never covered crime before. So now he was in panic mode. This is all in his book. He started having doubts about his capabilities, but his cousin reassured him and boasted his confidence, saying, Steve, you're the shit, man. Then he followed it up with, stop putting that bullshit in your head, man. If anybody was made to do this, it's you, man. Does this sound like something somebody is going to tell another human being in real life, or something you're going to see in the movie Rudy? This is in his book. If I'm reading this book, I'm reading this, and these are quotes somebody said. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here. Ain't nobody They don't talk like that. Come on, bro. I believe in you, man. Stephen A. has done nothing at this time. He's a nobody. And this guy, this cousin of yours, is really looking to you like you're the Oracle. You Neo and Matrix. If anybody was made for this, it's you, man. Other family members were encouraging as well. Stephen A. accepted the position. He moved to a Jamaica Estates in Queens, lived with his childhood friend, Cardell Brooks. Stephen A. days and nights were consumed with writing stories about stabbings, shootings, fatal car crashes, and murders. 2 months into his new role, he faced his biggest challenge yet. At 3:15, state troopers attempted to stop a 1984 Mazda picked up on the South State Parkway for operating without a rear license plate. The vehicle fled and attempted to evade the pursuing officers. After a 25-minute intense pursuit, the suspect finally pulled over and he was identified as the 35-year-old serial killer, Joel David Rifkin. Joel Rifkin, the New York serial killer. He was removed from the vehicle, taken into custody. And in the back was a deceased body of a prostitute named Tiffany Ruscani. David Rubenstein, her boyfriend, called the police to report her missing. 2 days later, the mother died in a freak accident. 3 days after that, it was reported that Rubenstein committed suicide by drug overdose. In custody, Rifkin soon began confessing to other homicides, a total of 17, including Ruscani. The murder spanned over 4 years, and all the victims was described as prostitutes by Rifkin. Those surviving relatives of several victims have disputed his claims. The incident unfolded 2 hours away from the New York Department office involving the serial killer Rifkin. Recognizing the magnitude of this story, the editor saw an opportunity to surprisingly dispatch a new hired freelancer. The biggest story in New York City history at the time, a serial killer. And they're going to send a freelance reporter who don't cover anything. Stephen A. Smith is going to cover this story. Where do they make these lies up at, Stephen A? Yes, I'm calling you a liar, Senor Bob. When they're going to put you to action, we're going to say, let's get this guy with limited journalistic experience and a lack of exposure to crime reporting. Let's go give it to him. Let Detective Stephen A. arrive at the scene and ask the questions. Stephen A. in his book claims he went to the homes of the victims to get comments for the family. He knew the other victims were where the family lived. It's a huge newspaper, so why was the lowest level guy being handed such a big story that is unheard of in any newspaper in the history of this country? But Stephen A. is the one that breaks the mold. He said doors were slammed in his face, everything. So anyway, long story short, on June 30th of 1993, the Joel Rifkin story was printed in the papers. Now, we can't find a physical copy of it, but the digital is there. And if you go to the New York Daily News archive, and you will find this article, Joel Rifkin piece, and Stephen A. is listed in the credits on a second page. The only time he's ever discussed Rifkin's story was in his autobiography. Let me see if we can go here. And I want to bring the receipts to you guys, so you just don't think I'm making all this up. Hold on, let me bring you guys into the fold. Now, here we go. This is the article. Suspect in court. No glasses to mirror his sick soul of a serial killer. There's the photograph. The story is written by whom? The story is written by Mike McClary and Corky Sizamosko. They're the two main writers of this story. Contributed to this story is Stephen A. Smith. He contributed to it. He was not given the assignment of this whole case. They had him do some meteor work, like go see if this person over here could do this. Go talk to some guy over there. This is not his story. It was two major writers. They had about 5, 6 other people that contributed. You see how he lies? But the actual facts tell a whole different story. Am I an Oreo for pointing out somebody's a goddamn liar? The question you need to ask them is, why the hell is he lying? Why are you always spending $2? Ain't no money in trolling, huh? Now, for him to cover so much, right? Stephen A. lied because there was 16 other people that was admitted in his investigation to be murdered and everything else, right? All right, I'm surprised Stephen A. Smith ain't said he was on Seinfeld. It was around the same time. Stephen A. only had one other article, one of him covering a car crash with an unlicensed driver nabbed. Car crash kills 2 by Stephen A. Smith. Now let's go through the journalistic career of Stephen A. Smith, where he has a paragraph to write. This is the only other article he written about covering crime. Stephen A. Smith, Daily News staff writer. Okay. Here's his contribution, ladies and gentlemen. A 4-year-old girl and a 47-year-old man were killed yesterday when a motorist whose license has been suspended more than 30 times crashed into another car on the Auburndale Street. The little girl, Samantha Escovedo, was fatally injured when her father, Santiago Escovedo, 30, rammed into the second car at Utopia Parkway and Underhill Avenue. Rammed? I'm surprised that got past everyone. Normally, they would have said collided into or crashed. People don't use the word rammed, but okay. License had been suspended more than 30 times for failing to answer 14 summons. A passenger in the second car, a 1987 Chevy Caprice, also was killed. He was, wow. It's supposed to say he was later identified as Joseph Minnelli, an electrician. Okay, Oscovedo of North Boulevard was driving a 1990 Ford Escort south on Utopia Parkway when he struck the second car, which was driven by Marcello's wife, Lorraine, 43. She was not injured in the crash. Police said her brother, who was in the back seat, was in stable condition. This is just basic. No real information whatsoever, just what's on the report paper. Oscovedo was arrested and charged with the driving without a valid driver's license. The Queens District Attorney Office was waiting for the results of the police accident investigation before determining if other charges would be filed. Police said drugs and alcohol did not appear to be involved. Gosh, this is like ground level basic writing. No way. All of this is just report stuff. He's just identifying the car and writing a report. There's nothing really here at all. He's giving us descriptions of the car, addresses, names, ages. That's it. No story at all. There's nothing there, Stephen A., for you to be this superstar writer. Now, let's get to your claim to fame. Carlton Hines. We all know the story about the drug-dealing basketball player known as Carlton Hines, who lost his life in a murder mayhem situation. And Stephen A. claimed that he was covering high school basketball for the Daily News. He's no longer a freelancer now. He is a sports writer. And he said, no one played a bigger role in my own future than this kid named Carlton Hines. He wrote about it in his book. He played at Stevenson High School in the Bronx. 15 years old. He was already considered going to the NBA. He was heavily recruited by top colleges, but he lost his love for basketball and ended up involved in a major crime activities. He was earning up to $225,000 per day selling drugs. It never explained to me how Hines rose to the top of the drug business so fast. And he was shot and killed in 1994 in April and 2:30 in the Bronx. He was 23 years of age. Stephen A. was assigned to the story, and it played into two strengths: basketball and the streets of New York. Right? Now, here's where Stephen A. says, the incident happened an hour away from where he grew up. He knew the actors of both worlds. His first move was to call a couple of street agents who put him in touch with Carlton Hines' family. He was able to track down eyewitnesses. One was shot in the hospital. Stephen A. found out what hospital he is, managed to get in a room with him and interview him. This guy then connected Stephen A. to a bunch of other people who gave him more information. Stephen A. went to the projects to interview the family members, friends, neighbors. The mother denied he was selling drugs. He learned that Hines was in the streets too deep. Stephen A. could relate because he saw this play out in his own neighborhood. He said he saw his friend shot, killed, drugs addicted, and ended up in jail. Stephen A. went to Thomas Edison, which was 98% white. But he saw all of this. Oh, gosh. So when he put the article out, the family was pissed. Carlton Hines' family was pissed because they said in the Street Struck that you put out, this is what made you popular, right? But on Street Struck, some said he was NBA material. But 2 weeks ago, Carlton Hines was shot dead. Talking about a black man's tragedy is what made them give you the big story. Because you can go in the neighborhood and talk to the people that they couldn't. And you deceived them, making it seem like you was from the Bronx. Stephen A. hasn't lived in the Bronx since he was 2 years old. He was probably 1 or 2 when they moved from the Bronx over to Hollis, Queens. He knows nothing about the goddamn Bronx. Stephen A. lied. Manipulated to get the story. He wasn't a friend. You know when somebody's a friend or not. He wrote the story about Carlton Hines. Yeah, he deceived him to get his big break. He used the death of a black man, a black kid, 23 years old, to step on a black man for his success. You see, these are what we call the facts. Oh, I don't have to cap, sir. There's no need for it. That's what we say. There's no need for it. What would we be capping for? That's what, exactly. So what would we have to cap for? Let me bring you to another exhibit to show you I'm not capping. That's me sending an email to Jason Whitlock show, Fearless Blaze show. And what did I say about him and Stephen A? What did Sino say? As you can read it right there. You both aren't shit. But he was on the team. He never played a game, but in a game, plus Coach Gaines' book will explain his exit. Stephen A. lied. Coach Gaines coached 3 more years after he claims the article made the coach retire. Coach Gaines retired because in 1993, they changed the rules and said that if you are 70 years of age, you have to retire. Stephen A. is lying. I sent that to Whitlock. He had no information on that until he got it from me and act like he didn't get it from me. So that's why I was like, oh, well, F that dude. That was in 2024. January 11th. So again, I don't have to lie. Whitlock, you know I emailed you that and I sent that to you. And then you went out there and did a video and act like it came from you. So that's when I knew what type of person you were and said, okay, we know exactly what we're dealing with here. So when we say refute the claim, Stephen A., that's what we're talking about. Talk about that. Refute that. That's what you need to be worried about. Now, everybody out here, go to the Patreon because it's going to be lit today. I guarantee you. You want to know my thoughts about J. Cole and Drake? It's already there on the Patreon, and it's a lot more. Trust me. We got a lot going on today. All right, we out. See y'all over there. Thanking you.